Good morning. How nice it is to be back in your beautiful and unique sanctuary. I was here for the 100th birthday celebration for Pete Seeger, and it was a great event. Today, I'm here to share with you my reflections on savoring the earth, the insights and inspirations that can come from nature. I love living in upstate New York and cherish all four seasons. I lived some time ago on a remote Pacific island when I was a Peace Corps volunteer. It was lush and it was beautiful. But I was glad to come home to the simple beauty of winter, the rebirth of spring, the lushness of summer, and the vibrance and abundance of autumn here. I enjoy sitting on a bench in the backyard throughout all the seasons. But beyond the beauty that inspires us, nature can give us powerful metaphors for our lives. These insights can help us deal with some of life's challenges, accept our losses, and also appreciate the positive in our lives. Winter itself has its own unique beauty. On a clear winter day, with no leaves on the trees, it's amazing that a whole new natural world can be seen that is not visible the rest of the year. When I look out my living room window in winter, I can often see the sunrise, and I can see mountains which are hidden by foliage in other seasons. Maybe the message here in this scene is that winter may be a time to clear away from some things in our lives so that something else can come into more focus. Think about what in your life could be taken away for just a little while, and what do the mountains symbolize that now can come into view? What do we now make time for that we didn't before? Another winter image that spoke to me recently was when I was driving from Oneonta to Albany, and I looked at the mountainside dotted with evergreens in a forest of bare trees and white snow. I thought about the evergreens unchanging throughout all the seasons and wondered if there are perhaps people in our lives who are like those evergreens, who are always there for us through the changing seasons and ups and downs of our lives. Maybe it's time to express appreciation for there being the evergreens in our lives. And it made me ask myself if there were people in my life to whom I could be more of an evergreen, there for them, both in the good times and hard times. Moving on to spring, here is a spring photo that speaks to me. My partner Walter took this photo of crocuses pushing their way up through the snow. I entitled it Hope. I feel that it reflects the struggling, not giving up, pushing upward through difficulty, knowing better days will come. This image can be a comfort during many challenging times. In the summer, we enjoy canoeing. One day I noticed a large flock of Canada geese on a lake who seemed to do everything in sync. They were calmly just sitting on the water, and then they swam together to the other side of the lake. Then they flew to the sky together, and then came back to the lake again. To me, I thought of a community or a large family, appreciating and supporting each other, valuing their relationship, and finding comfort in it. Also, to our delight, we saw a pair of loons and loved watching them dip and dive. Then one of the pair flew off, and I was surprised that the other one didn't follow. The one that remained continued to swim around. To me, the message was there is time for connection, and there's time for solitude, and there is value in each. There are beautiful places in nature right here. As we look at the Mohawk River, it is inspiring to think that this river, flowing into the Hudson River, which eventually flows into the Atlantic Ocean, which connects to bodies of water and people all around the world. Yes, indeed, we are all connected, and reflecting on the Mohawk River reminds us of that. In the fall, an insight came when we were sitting by a pond at our SUNY Oneonta college camp. We found it amazing what a perfect reflection of the trees on the bank are mirrored in the water of the pond, which is very still. The message to us has been stillness can bring clarity to our lives, and we need to take time to be really still, to see the image clearly, and to reflect. When teaching students to be teachers at SUNY Oneonta, I would take them to the college camp as part of our day, and we would go down to the pond for some quiet time of reflection. Ask the students to sit in silence by the pond, to take it all in, and then to think about any insights that they might come to them from what they observed in their surroundings. I gave them an example that when we look at the pond, you see only the surface. What we don't see is underneath the surface is the vibrant pond life. Just like the pond, we as teachers see the surface of a child, but it does not reveal what's beneath that surface. There's a whole other world we often know little about that affects how that child functions in life and in school. And maybe finding out can give us new understanding and compassion. The same insight could be applied to our relationship with adults as well. What we experience of another person on the surface may not reflect at all what that person is dealing with in the rest of their life. How easy it is to judge outward behavior without knowing the whole story. A time when nature gave me solace and insight came after the death of a very close friend. I walked in the woods, grieving her loss, and sat down under a tree for some reflection. It was autumn, and as I sat there, the tree in front of me surprisingly began to shed its leaves, not a few at a time, but in a steady stream, as if it were raining leaves as they came down. I thought of the life draining from my friend, but as I reflected, I began to think of new life returning to this tree in the spring. And yes, her body was no longer alive, but her spirit lived on in our hearts, in all the students she taught, and in how she touched many lives. The cycle of the tree through the seasons was both an inspiration and comfort to me. In learning to savor the earth, the Japanese practice of Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing, has something to teach us. Some call it nature therapy. Suzanne Miller writes, "It is a guided sensory immersion experience in nature. It's an invitation to consciously slow down, unplug, and recharge." In his book, Your Guide to Forest Bathing, Amos Clifford writes that being fully present with all our senses can have a remarkable healing effect, and he encourages us to spend really significant time immersing ourselves in nature. Recent studies have shown many healing benefits from being in nature, both to our physical health and as a way to reduce tension and anxiety. When we are feeling down or stressed, nature can be a source of replenishment and renewal. As part of this process, I also want to include some time spent on your porch or yard or time looking out the window and taking nature into consciousness. There's a value of nature inside our homes and living spaces, especially for those of you for whom it's difficult to get out. A house plant, a few flowers in a vase, a nature photo or painting, or a calendar picture can be the focus of appreciation, contemplation, and insight. Sometimes just closing our eyes and imagining ourselves in a special place, such as the woods, or by the ocean, or lake, in the mountains, or meadow, or in a garden, can be renewing. One of my favorite metaphors came from a bouquet of flowers on our coffee table. As I looked at the wonderful diversity of flowers, with beautiful colors, fragrances, shapes, and sizes. I thought about the diversity of people in our country, each contributing to a whole bouquet to indeed be celebrated, included, appreciated, and fought for. Holding this image became especially important when I think that some in our country are working against this very idea of inclusion and celebration of diversity. After being home for a couple days, I sometimes have come back to a houseplant, quite drooping, and wonder if it will survive. However, after some TLC and watering, I am amazed how the leaves gradually perk up and the plant looks alive and well again. I've had experiences with friends and family members who have been like that houseplant, depleted and depressed. The houseplant helps me remember that we can restore hope for another with our time and with our tender, loving care. In my brother's home in rural Pennsylvania, there are frequent flocks of geese that fly overhead. We enjoy watching them and hearing them honk as they fly south in a V formation. I read an article by Len Wilson about things that geese can teach us about teamwork. For example, geese rotate leadership. The goose flying in front of the formation has to expend the most energy because it's the first to break up the flow of air. When the lead goose gets tired, it moves to the rear, and another goose moves to the leadership position. This happens many times in the course of the long journey to a warmer climate. Yes, I think we can see the lesson in this for our congregations. Wilson also points out that geese help each other. When one goose becomes ill, is shot or injured, or drops out of the V formation, two other geese will fall out of the formation and remain with the weakened goose. Likewise, human teams and groups work best when they do more than just work together, but care for the well being of each other as well. Many children of earlier generations spent lots of unstructured time playing outdoors, and I imagine a lot of us here were part of that. But many children today are lacking this. Richard Louv makes a powerful case in his book, Last Child in the Woods, Saving Our Children from Nature Deficit Disorder. Louv says, the child in nature is an endangered species, and the health of the children and the health of the earth are inseparable. He believes that this disconnection can lead to not caring about the earth as adults. A movement started in Europe to get children in nature early in life, and forest kindergartens here, sprang up there and in other places around the world, now including the United States. I had read that forests and meadows were the classrooms of preschoolers and kindergartners, but I didn't quite believe it until I saw it firsthand in a visit to two forest kindergartens in Germany. I was blown away by what I saw. Yes, the children really did spend the whole day outside, and only in the most severe weather did they go into a small shelter. The belief was there are no bad weather days, only inappropriately dressed children. In one of them, the children went to a meadow where they played among the tall grasses, made garlands with flowers, explored a stream. In another forest kindergarten, the woods became the school for the day, where the children created all kinds of objects from what they found. Toys are replaced by imaginative use of natural materials in forest kindergartens. And we should not be surprised that as we traveled in Germany, solar panels on roofs were quite common. Germany is seen as a green leader. I believe there's a connection here. Jacques Cousteau said, people protect what they love. Yes, savoring the earth leads to wanting to save the earth. We are inspired by the voices of young generation and the leadership of young people like Greta Thunberg. Her advocacy on the world stage with regard to climate crisis is a call to action for all of us. Our seventh UU principle is respect for the interdependent web of life. Our own UU General Assembly featured Naomi Klein as the keynote speaker for the Ware Lecture in 2020. She is the author of On Fire, The Burning Case of a Green New Deal. And I was delighted to see that the fall-winter issue of UU World focused on the climate crisis. UU Ministry of the Earth is an activist group of UUs from all over who, in their words, seek environmental justice, beloved community, and the flourishing of all life. And advocates that UUs are, I believe that we can indeed make a difference when we make our voices heard. So in closing, I hope that you will find joy, renewal, inspiration, and insight as you spend time in nature. And in this savoring of the earth that we love so much, may we work to do what is needed to save our earth and all its inhabitants. Thank you for listening.